भगत सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमलती करमूला शुद्ध भक्ता चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला माधव तिथि भक्ति जननी जेतने पालन कोरी कृष्ण बसती बसती बोली परम आदर बोरी शुद्ध भक्ता चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला गौर महाराजे सब स्थाने कोरोलो भ्रमण रंगे से सब स्थान हिरे बोआमी प्रणीय भक्त संगे शुद्ध भक्ता चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूला मृदंगा वाद्या सुनते मना अब सरस सदा जाछे गौर विहिता कीर्तन शुनि आनंद हृदय नाचे शुद्ध भक्ता चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल जुगल मूर्ति देखिया मोरा परमानंद होया प्रसाद सेवा कुरिते होया सकल प्रपंच जाया शुद्ध भक्ता चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल जे दिन गृहे भजन देखी गृहते गोलक भाया चरण सिधु देखिया गंगा सुख सीमा पाया शुद्ध भक्ता चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल तुलसी देखी जुराया प्राणा माधव तो शनि जानी गौर प्रिया शाखा सेवने जीवन सार्थक मानी शुद्ध भक्ता चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल भक्ति विनोदा कृष्ण भजने अनाकुल पाया जाहा प्रतीदीप से परम सुखे स्वीकार को रयता शुद्ध भक्ता चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल भगत सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमलती करमूला शुद्ध भक्ता चरण रेणु Translation. The dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees, enthusiastic devotional service, and service to the pure devotees of the highest order are the roots of the creeper of devotion. The holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami are the mother of devotion for those devotees who respect them. Let the holy places of Krishna's pastimes be my places of worship and bless me. May I always visit all the holy places associated with the Leela of Sri Chaitanya and his devotees. When I hear the sound of the mridanga in my heart, I always desire to join in kirtan. And when I hear the bona fide songs describing Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, my heart dances in ecstasy. Whenever I see the transcendental Sri Vigrahas of Radha Krishna, I am in bliss. For by taking their lordships prasad, we can conquer over the material elements. One day, while performing devotional practices, I saw my house transformed into Golak Vrindavan. When I take the Charanamrit of the deity, I see the holy Ganges water that come from the feet of Lord Vishnu, and my bliss knows no bounds. By seeing the Tulsi tree, my heart feels joy, and Lord Madhav, Krishna, is also satisfied. When I eat the prasad offered, favored by Lord Chaitanya, It is a new life's experience. Lord Chaitanya was very fond of a green vegetable preparation called shak, and there is another song in this book that tells the amazing effects of this type of prasad. Bhakti Vinod concludes by saying, Whosoever attains the stage of enthusiasm for these devotional practices will be supremely blissful wherever he may be. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling how he is so much enthusiastic in performing all these devotional practices. And especially the root of the creeper of devotion is serving Vaishnavas and taking the dust from the lotus feet of Vaishnavas and performing all devotional services with enthusiasm. And the special days of Ekadashi and Janmashtami, they are Bhakti Janani, they are the mother of devotion. So if we perform devotional service nicely on those special days, then we can advance a lot faster. And we should have desire to be in the holy places, dhams, to go to the dhams. And yeah, we should think that, we have gotten this opportunity of doing devotional service after so many lifetimes. And although we don't deserve it, somehow we got the mercy of some devotee by which we have gotten this Hare Krishna mantra. We are able to sit in kirtan and hear from so many pure devotees because we have ears. Um, that's why we can hear, like we have a healthy body. That's why we can perform kirtan and dance and sing and dance for Krishna. So we should think that this is such a great opportunity that we have gotten. So we should be enthusiastic in doing all these devotional practices. And when Krishna is pleased with our devotional service, he will reveal Golok Vrindavan to us. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying his house is transformed into Golok Vrindavan with you know performing bhakti in the house with the family members. It's non-different from the spiritual world. And wherever Tulsi is, there is Vrindavan there. So we should also have faith in Krishna's prasad, that this is tasted by Krishna and this prasad will remove all my anarthas. So if we eat it with that faith, then it will have an effect. And yeah, so whoever performs these devotional practices with the enthusiasm will be supremely blissful wherever he may be, in whatever situation we may be in this life. If we perform, bhakti with enthusiasm, then we'll be in the spiritual world no matter where we are. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Anybody else has any? Nicely sung. Okay, so today is Ekadashi also. We got enough reminders thanks to Adikarta Prabhu. So, roots of creeper of devotion are three: dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees, enthusiastic devotional service, and service to pure devotees. The highest order are the roots of the creeper of devotion. Okay. Yes, next. Anything else? Okay, we'll read Bhagavatam then. Yeah.
No, I was saying in Nectar of Devotion also, it says that being enthusiastic, utsaha, nishchaya, dhairyat. So I was just reminding that one that being enthusiastic is very necessary to develop the pure devotional service. It is necessary in material world also. So whatever we get it, do our hard work with enthusiasm that we get this. So the devotional service also being enthusiastic, but after some time it becomes like a duty during the devotional service. But we should be like, of course, we if something we do with happiness, with and with zeal, so it will be easy. It will not like a burden or something duty. So,
And if you're not enthusiastic, what did Prabhupada say? If you don't feel enthusiasm, then what you should do?
You should act enthusiastically.
You should
If
act
you
enthusiastic.
don't, like he says, if you don't like to bow down, you first bow down and then the feeling would come. And you stay in the association of those who are enthusiastic.
So, enthusiasm, if not there, then act enthusiastically. Then Prabhupada says, let's see about enthusiasm. One has to be very enthusiastic in devotional service. Enthusiasm means action, but for whom? Action for whom? The answer is that one should always act for Krishna. One must be very enthusiastic that in this life, in this human form of life, I must complete my spiritual consciousness or God consciousness. So that in next life I may not have this material body. I must surrender to Krishna. Although my mind is going outside, but I must be determined that I must surrender. So, like if you're enrolled in medical school, right? So you're enthusiastic to get your degree so that you can become practice, and you have to work hard and you have to be enthusiastic. Otherwise, you can't finish your degree. Prabhupada is saying, yeah, you have to be enthusiastic to go back home, back to Godhead, so that I will not have any material body and this life, this kind of life again of birth, death, old. I should be enthusiastic to get out of this. And so I must complete my spiritual consciousness. I must surrender to Krishna. So a living entity cannot stop acting. So when he is forbidden to become enthusiastic about material achievements, he should at once be encouraged to be enthusiastic about spiritual achievements. So somewhere everybody has some enthusiasm somewhere. So if you are not enthusiastic about spiritual life, then we have to be enthusiastic about material life. An enthusiasm is a symptom of the living entity. It cannot be stopped. It is just like a powerful engine. If you utilize it properly, it will give immense production. Therefore, enthusiasm should be purified. Enthusiasm should be purified. Instead of employing enthusiasm for attaining material goals, one should be enthusiastic about achieving the perfectional stage of devotional service. Four things are required for attaining perfection in yoga practice: scriptures, enthusiasm, bona fide spiritual master, and sufficient time. Enthusiasm means to constantly remember the Lord and to pray for His mercy. Nice. Enthusiasm means to constantly remember the Lord and to pray for His mercy. Endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called utsaha or enthusiasm, and it has to be executed with intelligence. The devotees find the correct means by which everything can be utilized in the service of the Lord. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Muchyate. The execution of devotional service is not a matter of idle meditation but practical action in the foreground of spiritual life. It's like that. If one is purified, yeah, this is by following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, that is by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one must certainly be eager to render service to the Lord. So this is what I was thinking before that. How chanting Hare Krishna means it should result in eagerness to render service. Although chanting itself is service also, and that should increase our desire to chant. This is the test. And other services. When one engages enthusiastically in the Lord's service, it is to be understood that he is reaping the results of chanting the names of Krishna and Hari. Okay. One should not give up the execution of devotional service because one or two attempts have not been successful. One must continue. So we may have tried something and it didn't work or something like that, but we should not give up the attempt. Sri Rupa Goswami also confirms that one should be very enthusiastic and execute devotional service with patience and confidence. Utsaha Nishya. Patience is necessary for developing the confidence that Krishna will certainly accept me because I am engaging in devotional service. This is the faith of the devotee. One has only to execute service according to the rules and regulations to ensure success. He should be very enthusiastic in speaking about Krishna. Okay. Have full faith in the revealed scriptures, the Vedic literatures, and always observe celibacy. Perform your prescribed duties and avoid unnecessary talks. Always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, acquire knowledge from the right source. Thus, practicing Bhakti Yoga, you will patiently and enthusiastically be elevated in knowledge and will be able to give up the false ego. Okay. Any comments anybody has?
um, when we are in the spiritual world, we are performing the same activities as, in like chanting and dancing and singing and making garlands for Krishna. So it's like we should think that it's the same activities we are doing here as we will be doing in the spiritual world. Um, and susukham kartum avyam, it's so joyful. And
Yeah,
with
only one
Krishna's,
activity is not there, which we do here, is preaching.
well, we talk about the glories of Krishna with other
Yeah, correct.
devotees. It's the
That is,
same.
but yeah, but that you are talking with devotees, so like Matchita, Matkata, Prana, Bodhayanta,
Yeah,
Parasparam,
right.
Kathayantasya Mam Nityam Tushyanti Char.
Right.
But there are no conditioned souls there. So there is nobody like, you have to convince somebody that you should chant Hare Krishna. You should like,
Yeah. But it's like talking about Krishna's glories, right? So that's kind of like Makchita Madkata
correct,
Pran
correct.
Kirtanam.
Still, it is talking about Krishna only.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a little different because there it is Rasika. It's all Rasika Bhaktas are there. They are
Mm-hmm.
all having taste.
That's right. So yeah, like that we have that event, right? We had a few days ago dance with Krishna DJ. So like we should think that that's what is happening in the spiritual world every night. Like gopis are dancing with Krishna. So when we dance, should think that yeah, we are participating in Krishna's Ras Leela. And yeah, making garlands for Krishna or singing for Krishna or making prasad for Krishna. All of that devotees do in the spiritual world. So you should think that we are doing it right now.
Yeah, correct. Whether you do devotional service here or you do the same thing there, it's no difference. It's same devotional service. That's why the blessing was given to the devotee. Don't, if you live or you die, it doesn't matter. The saintly person bless the devotee. He says, you live or you die, it doesn't matter. Why? Because you're serving Krishna here. You go back to Godhead, you will serve Krishna there. So it's not really different. So, Jivova Marova. And what did he say to the prince? The saintly person told the prince that you should
die.
you should live long life. To
Oh,
brahmachari, he said.
oh to the brahmachari he said to die, and prince he said you live long because your next life is not good. You engage in sense gratification.
And butcher, he said, you don't live, you don't die. Because butcher is like very bad situation. Don't die because then hellish planets are awaiting. Don't live because you are going to commit more sinful activities. Like that Prabhupada told the story. So, but devotee, he said, you live or you die, it doesn't matter. So, okay. So,
Vishwam Purna Sukhayate.
hmm,
For the devotee, the whole world becomes very joyful.
yes. Yeah. Okay, so 3:11:33. This chapter is entitled Calculation of Time from the Atom. एवं विधिर अहोरात्रे कालगत्यो पलक्षिते अपक्षितम इवास्यापि परमायुर्वयशतम. So Maitreya Muni is explaining Vidura, what Vidura has asked, the questions about time and all the different subject matters. So continuing in that series. Thus, the process of the exhaustion of the duration of life exists for every one of the living beings, including Lord Brahma. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of times on different planets. Every living being lives for 100 years in terms of the times in different planets for different entities. That means ant lives for his 100 years, Brahma lives for his 100 years, human beings live for their 100 years, and time is different for all of them. These 100 years of life are not equal in every case. The longest duration of 100 years belongs to Brahma, but although the life of Brahma is very long, it expires in the course of time. Brahma is also afraid of his death, and thus he performs devotional service to the Lord, just to release himself from the clutches of the illusory energy. That reminds me of the verse in the Bhagavatam that with every passing day and night, what should one do? One should tremble in fear. That verse, Ahoratris Chidyamanam, that one day of our life is gone and I'm coming closer to death. Ahoratris Chidyamanam. Vepatuhu, that verse is there. That and we should take up devotional service. Brahma is also afraid of his death. So days are going, like that. You can
I'll paste.
yeah, and read the verse. It's the Bhagavad.
अहोरात्रे चित्त्यमानं बुद्धवायुर्भयवेपुतो मुक्तसङ्गा परं बुद्ध्वा निरीह उपशाम्यति. Knowing that one's duration of life is being similarly cut down by the passing of days and nights, one should be shaken up by fear. In this way, giving up all material attachments and desires, one understands the Supreme Lord and achieves perfect peace.
So Buddhva Ayur. Ayur Bhaya Veputu. Bhaya means fear, and Vepatuhu means tremble. One should shake in fear. Oh, another day of my life is gone. In this way, giving up all material attachment and desire. This is Bhagavatam saying, one understands the Supreme Lord. So now that life is coming to an end, let me just focus on Krishna and give up all material desires. Otherwise, all these material desires will bring me back again in the next body. So that's why they say, you have to like the Varnashram talks about this kind of as you become more and more absorbed in spiritual life and detached from material desires as life goes on, because now we are coming closer to death. So, so we have to become more and more detached. That is vanaprastha, and then sannyas, like that. That is described the four ashramas: brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. The longest duration of 100 years belongs to Brahma, but although the life of Brahma is very long, it expires in the course of time. Brahma is also afraid of his death, and thus he performs devotional service to the Lord, just to release himself from the clutches of the illusory energy. So we should be afraid of coming back in this material existence again. Although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatat Bhakti Rahit Kitvai. That, oh, I don't want, I want to just be engaged in your devotional service life after life. That's their pure devotees. If you are pure devotee, you don't care about uh, going back home, back to Godhead. You just want to engage in devotional service. Because as we said, whether you do devotional service in the spiritual world or you do in the material world, it's the same. It doesn't matter. But material world is also problematic, and it's going to become more problematic in Kali Yuga. We know in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavatam, the symptoms of Kali Yuga are described, how so many things will happen. So Prabhupada, he told sometimes like that, no, you should go back home, back to Godhead. You should not. Of course, we can only desire, but Krishna has to evaluate. At the end of life, he evaluates and say, okay, are you ready to come back or not? So, yeah, that's the goal of life is to. If you become pure devotee, then mukti is already achieved. Bilva Mangal Thakur says, right? Bhakti stvai sthirat arat bhagwan yadi syad devena falati divya kishora murti mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevati asman dharma artha kama gataya samaya pratiksha. If you become a pure devotee, if you become steady in devotional service, bhakti stvai sthira, sthira means steady, then by this bhakti you'll have the divine vision of the Divya Kishore, Krishna, the divine transcendental, young boy who is Krishna, Divya Kishora Murti, and Mukti will stand with folded hands. Mukti Swayam, Mukti Devi herself will stand, Swayam Mukulitanjali, offering, prayers and please accept me, Mukti Swayam Mukulitanjali, Sevate Asman, and all everything, Dharma Artha Kama, Dharma Artha Kama Moksha, we say like that. They are all waiting to serve the pure devotee. So if you become steady in devotional service, automatically mukti is, because mukti you can't achieve without bhakti. And if you have bhakti, you don't have to worry. Mukti automatically happens. So, and mukti also means that you come to your constitutional position. Mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavastiti. Means when you are situated in your original consciousness, you are liberated. Even though you are in the material world, if you are in the consciousness that I am servant of Krishna, which is giving up all. Mukti hitva. Hitva means to give up. Anyatha rupam. Anyatha means other forms. When one gives up all other forms, means all other upadis, and comes to one's original swarup. Swarupena vyavastiti. Vyavastiti means to be situated in one swarup, which is Jivera Swarupai Krishna Nitya Das. If you are in this consciousness, then you are liberated wherever you are. It doesn't matter you are physically where your body is, but the consciousness is Krishna consciousness. I am servant of Krishna. Then you are liberated. Ihayasya harirdasya karmana manasa gira nikhalasvapi avasthashu jivan mukta se uchyate. That's, yeah. And if you are in that consciousness, you will engage your Karmana manasa gira. You'll engage your activities, your mind, your words in the service of Krishna, and then you are liberated, Jivan Mukta. In this material world, you are liberated. So, but yeah. So this to release ourselves from the clutches of Maya, one has to engage in devotional service. Otherwise, you can't get out of illusion. Devi Esha Gudamahi Mama Maya Durattaya Mam Evaya Prapadyante Maya Mitam Taranti Te. 7.14, Krishna is saying that, yeah, difficult to get out of illusion unless you surrender to me in devotion. Animals, of course, have no sense of responsibility, but even humans who have developed a sense of responsibility while away means they spend their time, while away their valuable time without engaging in devotional service to the Lord. They live merrily, unafraid of impending death. Like in English, they say, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Like there is some philosophy like that. Just enjoy your life while you have it, because tomorrow we are going to die. So just keep enjoying. Life is short. Enjoy to the fullest. Some sayings are like that. Enjoy to the fullest. Life is short. So yeah, enjoyment is there, but goal of life is to enjoy, as Prabhupada said. But we have to enjoy in such a way that it will give an auspicious result. It is described any activity is auspicious if it is beneficial to everybody and it gives a superior form of result and superior form of happiness. Then the activity is considered auspicious. So, if material enjoyment results in hellish life or going down to lower species of life or another material body, then that enjoyment is not auspicious. It is inauspicious because it is not giving a good result. Whereas Krishna consciousness, enjoyment by serving Krishna, gives us superior happiness and it also gives a good result. That in next life, you go back home, back to Godhead, or you take birth in the family of devotees if you have not finished it. Like that. So, so this is the real way to enjoy. Prabhupada didn't say that you should not enjoy. Enjoyment is there. I mean, that is our nature. Anandamayobhyasad. We are full of seeking enjoyment. And it's not like we don't have to seek enjoyment. But we have to seek enjoyment in the right way and in devotional service. Of course, when we have the desire to give pleasure to the Lord, when we selflessly serve to the Lord, then we get that enjoyment. So by giving pleasure to the Lord, we as part, we also get happiness. So, and then one time Sankarshan Prabhu, he was telling that the secret of getting happiness in spiritual life is to give pleasure to the Lord unconditionally, without seeking pleasure for oneself. Just try to do devotional service in the mood of giving pleasure to the Lord. And then when the Lord is satisfied with such service, then we will also feel very happy. So, so that's how we can find happiness. This is the madness of human society. So Prabhupada is saying nobody is worried about impending death. They are enjoying, unaware or being callous to the upcoming death. And this is the madness. Why? Because if you just keep enjoying and you don't know what kind of body you are going to get, where you are going to go, then it's very short-sightedness and you don't know what's going to happen next. The madman has no sense of responsibility in life. Similarly, a human being who does not develop a sense of responsibility before he dies is no better than the madman who tries to enjoy material life very happily without concern for the future. It is necessary that every human being be responsible for in preparing himself for the next life, even if he has a duration of life like that of Brahma, the greatest of all living creatures within the universe. Just as the children are sent to school. Why? Because the parents know he is going to grow up, and then if he has not studied, then what is he going to, what job he is going to, because they are worried about his future life. The child may not like to study, he may just like to play, but the parents are thinking about, oh, you should go to school and study because they are thinking there is going to be a future life. So everybody prepares for the future, right? When we have our careers and we did all the studies thinking that yes, I'm going to be an engineer, doctor, whatever. We are all preparing our. So similarly, there should be preparation for the next life, which nobody thinks about, as Prabhupada says here. All we think is of this one lifespan, and we just want to like prepare for this. But what about the next life? So that nobody's thinking. Prabhupada is saying here, and we also would not have thought about it had we not come in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books and devotees of the Lord. So now we are thinking. And when you don't think of the next life, then you think like, yeah, whatever I do, it doesn't matter. There is no consequences of it. I just want to enjoy somehow or the other. I'm not worried about what kind of thing it will create in the future, what I'm doing now. So, so that's irresponsible life, as Prabhupada says here. Okay, so even Brahma is preparing for his next life. As Prabhupada says here. He performs devotional. Although he lives very long life, of course, we from our point of view, his life is long. From his point of view, his life is 100 years. Just like from an ant's point of view, a human being's life is very long. But for us humans, our life of 100 years is short or not very long. Of course, nobody lives 100 years now. So that's another thing. Yeah. Lifespan is reducing, right? People die in 40s, so many 40s, 50s. Somebody just told me other day somebody got a heart attack in 40, 45. So like that, lifespan will further reduce in Kali Yuga. And it is said that if one will be like how much, 30 or 50 years old, he'll be considered an old man. 30 years, what does Bhagavatam say? 30 years or 50 years? Lifespan will decrease
It
to
says
50. Yeah,
50.
50. Yeah, so 50 is considered like an old. Of course, now also we, but it's like lifespan will reduce to 50 years. So 50 years means like what is 100 years now will be like 50 years then. So so this is lifespan is decreasing. Obviously, we know in Satya Yuga it was very long. Then it decreased by a factor of 10. Then another 10, another 10, and Kali Yuga it's at most 100 years, and nobody is now living 100 years. So very short life, of which many years have already passed. Okay, so that's some urgency, right? Some urgency for. Okay, anything else? Anybody like to say?
And we say that the material happiness is like a drop of water in a desert. It's almost nothing, or like a hog eating stool.
Hmm.
Right? It's also enjoying. So compared to the eternal bliss and happiness that we can when we are with Krishna in the spiritual world, I mean, if we understand that, then we'll not be attracted to this temporary. happiness, and that too mixed with so much distress. Like this material body poses so many limitations. Like the soul wants to enjoy a lot, right? Like in terms of eating, it wants to eat nice things all the time, but we can't do that, because if we do that, then if we eat too many sweets, or we'll become obese and get diabetes. Like we can't do that, but we can do that in the spiritual world. I mean, Prabhupada used to say, I would eat kachori and samosa with Krishna. Like he had restrictions, he couldn't eat kachori here. But there are no such restrictions in the spiritual world, because we don't have a material body there, it's spiritual body. So if we understand that, then we can spend this small lifespan that we have in dedicating and enjoying also. So devotees are very joyful in doing Krishna consciousness if they get the higher taste.
Yeah, like they say, like I think there is some conversation between in Radha Gopinath temple, right? Anand Vrindavan Prabhu was telling that Radhanath Swami told him that 50 years means the light has now turned yellow. Till 50 it was green, but now it has turned yellow. And now from yellow, yellow is not going to stay for a long time. After yellow comes red. So, like that, Prabhupada says also that at 50 years, or when we are close to 50, one should take the warning of death very seriously. Of course, we don't even know whether we're going to live 50 years. We'll reach 50, so many pass. So, actually, from any age, one should think that yes, there is a thing, urgency of surrender to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada stressed the urgency of surrender to Krishna. Every line of his books, every sentence of his tapes, you would hear him urgently, just pleading with you and me to take Krishna consciousness seriously. Death, tragedy can come at any moment, and the greatest tragedy is that our faith is stolen away by Maya and her various representatives, which can come in many forms. There is no comfortable position when we are secure in material existence. We are like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. Our life is compared to that. Our position in society, our health, our family members, our friends, everything in this world that exists is like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. Like that's which song does it remind you
Bhaja Hure Man,
of?
Srinath.
Kamala dala jala jivana talamala bhajahu haripada. It is going to fall and we don't know when. It often happens at the least expected moment. Srila Prabhupada used the example of the goats that are on the way to the slaughterhouse. The slaughterhouse is a very expert, slaughterhouse person is very expert at pacifying the goats so that they are very happily and peacefully. They go to the chopping block by providing nice grass. The line of goats, they are just eating grass and they are enjoying. And closer they get, the grass gets nicer and nicer. The goats in front of them are getting their heads cut off, but they don't see that. That is ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yamalayam seshastvaram icchanti kim asharyatha param. Yudhishthir Maharaj is saying that. Or others are getting their heads cut off, but the seshastvaram icchanti. The others are thinking, yeah, we are not going to be. The goat is thinking, it's so busy in enjoying the grass. They just see the grass. Srila Prabhupada said, that is how Maya is orchestrating the entire material existence. Don't be foolish, goat. Just trying to be happy and enjoy the comforts of this world, the comforts of family life or nice little four in the Brahmacharya ashram. Okay, so that means you have to be like, serious about our consciousness, how, we have to change our consciousness. Okay, anything else? We'll go to the next verse. We have discussed this many times before. So Next verse, 3:11-34. Yadardham ayushastasya parardham abhidhiyate purvaha parardho apakranto riya hi aparo hi aparodya pravartate. Then the 100 years of Brahma's life are divided into two parts, the first half and second half. The first half of the duration of Brahma's life is already over, and the second half is now current. So this is like where our Brahma is. 50 years of his life is over, and the second half is now going on. Brahma's life is going on. The duration of 100 years in the life of Brahma has already been discussed in many places in this work, and it is described in Bhagavad Gita 8:17 also. Sahasra yuga paryantam aharyad brahmano vidu ratrim yuga sahasrantam teho ratra vido janaha. Brahma's day is Sahasra Yuga, 1,000 yugas, Paryantam, and Ratri, his night is also of Yuga, Sahasrantam. His day and night, both are of 1,000 yuga cycles. 50 years of life of Brahma already over, and 50 years are yet to be completed. Then for Brahma also death is inevitable. So we would not have believed in God if there was no death, but there is death. So there was no death, there was no old age, there was no disease then. But there is death, and Krishna says, I am that death. So anybody who doesn't believe in God has to succumb to death. And Krishna says, in the form of death I take away everything. Mrityu sarva haras chaham. So even though Brahma lives a very long time, according to us, but still he dies at the end of his life. So Krishna says, which verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna says, from all planets, from up to Brahmalok down to the lowest, are places of misery, where repeated birth and death takes place. Which verse in the Bhagavad Gita?
Anybody else wants to say? Brahma bhuvana loka punaravarti arjuna. Mapapete to kante punarjanmana.
Yeah, so maybe he has less anxiety than us in Brahma, but Brahma also, when demigods go and they tell him that we are having problem, then Brahma has to deal with the problem. He has to go to Vishnu. The material world, there is always problem, and no matter how much you try to adjust your situation, it never remains steady. It's always changing, and always it creates problems. Something or other goes on, either with our body or some more mind. Something is going on. Always some fever is going on, something like that. Then to more serious diseases like cancer and things like that. Something is always going on. And if body and mind are in order, then there is some other external disturbance, some relationship problem is going on, which gives you a lot of grief. So like that, there is something or other always going on in this material world. And it is meant to push us towards Krishna. So like that. Okay. Purvasyadav parardhasya brahmo nama mahanabhut kalpo yatra abhavad brahma shabda brahmeti yam viduhu. In the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa, wherein Lord Brahma appeared. The birth of the Vedas was simultaneous with Brahma's birth. So first 50 years of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa. Okay, so according to the Padma Puran, Prabhash Khanda, in 30 days of Brahma, many kalpas take place, such as the Varaha Kalpa and Pitra Kalpa. 30 days make 1 month of Brahma, beginning from the full moon to the disappearance of the moon. 12 such months complete 1 year, and 50 years complete one parardha, or one half the duration of the life of Brahma. The Shweta Varaha appearance of the Lord is the first birthday of Brahma. So Varaha Dev comes in different. I think the Shweta Varaha is the first time. First birthday. The birth date of Brahma is in the month of March, according to Hindu astronomical calculation. This statement is reproduced from the explanation of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay. Of course, we celebrate Krishna's birthday, but we don't celebrate Brahma's birthday. But his birthday is in the month of March. So, right, they said Brahma had this thing that he would not be worshipped. Some stories there, right? Some pastime. Brahma would not be worshipped on this. What was that? Somebody knows.
Go ahead, Preeti.
I think it's related to Gayatri Mantra.
To Gayatri. Okay.
He got a curse or something?
Yeah, something.
I'm not sure, Prabhuji. I heard that like someone saying that he has some on his daughter. He has some wrong in intentions for his daughter. I think Saraswati, Mother Saraswati. So I think he was cursed. And I think only one place in India, in I think in Rajasthan somewhere, he was worshipped. Otherwise, he was not worshipping all over.
In Pushkar, I think there's.
Pushkar, yes.
Okay.
Mantra was initiated first time. Like it was invented there.
Okay.
I story where it says that during the Gayatri Mantra invention, or like when they were trying to introduce Gayatri Mantra to everyone, then Lord Brahma was waiting, and all other people were also waiting for Goddess Saraswati to join the yajna. But due to her delay, the auspicious time was about to be missed. So they converted a cow into pearl, and they named her as Gayatri. And, the mantra is named after her. Seeing that Gayatri was like Lord Brahma was accompanying Gayatri Devi, Saraswati, Goddess Saraswati, she cursed Lord Brahma. It's like that. And afterwards, Lord Brahma had also cursed Goddess Saraswati, that no one would believe her or worship her or something like that. I'm not sure if I am right, but there was one curse that Lord Brahma also gave to Goddess Saraswati, and she's worshipped in Pushkar. In Pushkar only, there's one temple where only one side, like only the right or left side of Brahma is supposed to be seen, and only the and a little bit away from there on a hill, there's one temple of Goddess Saraswati where we are supposed to see the idol of Saraswati Devi. It's a story like that. I'm not sure if it's the true or something.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So next verse. तस्यैव चान्ते कल्पभूत यं पाद्मम् अभिचक्षते यद्धरेणाभि सरसा आसील्लोकासरोरुहम्. Okay, so the millennium which followed the Brahma millennium is known as the Padma Kalpa, because in that millennium the universal lotus flower grew out of the reservoir of water in the navel of the personality of Godhead Hari. The millennium following the Brahma Kalpa is known as the Padma Kalpa because the universal lotus grows in that millennium. The Padma Kalpa is also called the Pitra Kalpa in certain Puranas. So Brahma was, it says first half is Brahma Kalpa, and then the Padma Kalpa, followed the Brahma millennium. Okay. So Brahma appeared, first Brahma appeared, then the lotus millennium which followed the Brahma universal lotus flower grew. I thought the lotus flower first comes and then Brahma appears on the lotus flower. Oh, but here it's different. In the beginning of first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa, the birth of the Vedas. Okay, and then the universal lotus flower. Okay, let's go to the next verse. O descendant of Bharat, the first millennium in the second half of the life of Brahma is also known as Varaha millennium, because the personality of Godhead appeared in that millennium as the hog incarnation. The different millenniums known as the Brahma, Padma, Varaha Kalpas appear a little puzzling for the layman. There are some scholars who think these kalpas to be one and the same. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the Brahma Kalpa in the beginning of the first half appears to be the Padma Kalpa. We can, however, simply abide by the text and understand that the present millennium is in the second half of the duration of life of Brahma, without going into technicalities which don't affect us much in terms of our bhakti in devotional service. This is very incomprehensible, all these things, Brahma's lifespan. And the duration of the two part of Brahma's life, as above mentioned, is calculated to be equal to 1 nimesh, less than a second, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchanging and unlimited and is the cause of all causes of the universe. So this Brahma's whole life is just like 1 nimesh for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he will breathe in and breathe out and breathe in, and Brahma is gone. So such a long lifespan is just 1 nimesh. Nimesh means the time it takes to blink an eye, sometimes they say like that. Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha pravarshaitam shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says like that. Yuga, it says 12 years, but actually it's a yuga. Yuga itam nimeshena. Considering a moment to be like a yuga, because he is in the mood of Radharani. So Radharani, and they curse the gopis there. The Gopi Geet, it's the verses there.
Atati yad bhavani Atiti yad bhavani kananam trutiyugayute tvam apashyatam kutilakuntalam shrimukham chate jada udikshitam pakshmakritrisham. So he has fashioned the eyelids which blink, and so we can't see Krishna. And a tiny fraction of a second becomes like a millennium. Here it says Truti. And Brahma is Jada Udikshita, he's foolish creator because he has created the eyelids.
Jada means fool. Truti yugayate tvam apashyatam. Pashyatam means to see. We cannot see you. Truti yugayate tvam apashyatam. And even when we can see you, what it says, then you're covered with dust or something like that.
Brahma, we can eagerly look upon your beautiful face, so lovely with its adornment of curly locks. our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids,
Hmm.
which were fashioned by the foolish creator.
Okay. Yeah. The great sage Maitreya has given a considerable description of the time of different dimensions. This is a like extreme love, right? You in extreme love, you cannot miss your beloved only even for a moment. You just want to be with your beloved. So this is the situation with the gopis. And they say, how fortunate are these cowherd boys? They get to play with Krishna. That's why this verse, Sakam Vijruhu Krita Punya Punja, is spoken by Shukdev Goswami, who is the parrot of Srimati Radharani. And he's echoing the feeling of the gopis in this verse. That's what I think one devotee was saying, that how fortunate are these cowherd boys. Because as the parrot, he should side with the gopis, but he's echoing the feeling of the gopis, that how this cowherd boys, everybody gets to play with Krishna. We are only in this village and we are, we heard in the Venu Geet, all these things. So everybody is so fortunate in the forest that Krishna goes and plays with them, with his cowherd friends, and the others get their association. We are bereft. So, so they have so much. But of course, they are the topmost devotees of Krishna because of their attachment to Krishna is like nobody else. Yeah.
That's why devotee is always humble, right? Even the purest devotee thinks that I don't have any love for Krishna. See, everybody has so much love for Krishna.
The great
So
sage might. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was a question, Prabhuji. So that the Gopa's friends also the praying the same thing, right? They don't want to night come because they want like miss his association, Krishna's association, and the gopis like in the evening or night time they spend time with Krishna. So the gopis in the Madhurya rasas, right? And the Gopa friends in Sakhya rasas. So it means that the Madhurya rasas is higher than the Sakha rasas
I
because they
mean,
both.
the intensity of love is greater in Madhurya Ras. That's basically what it is. So that's why, they could not untie the knot. Vatsalya is higher than Sakhya. So we say Gopas could not untie the knot made by Yashoda because uh, Krishna was bound in Vatsalya bhav. So higher than Vatsalya is Madhurya. That's how it says. But they are all pure devotees. They all have attachment to Krishna. But the intimacy of the attachment is even more in Madhurya.
Mm-hmm. And in Madhurya also there is Swaki and Parakya, right? So the queens of Krishna in Dwarka, they also have Madhurya Ras, but the Gopi Prem is the highest number on for all, amongst all the gopis. Srimati Radharani's love is the highest.
Yeah, in Dwarka it is also mixed with Aishwarya. Also, so yeah.
Gopis are in Parakya bhav, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah, because they're married to someone else and they love Krishna. So outside of marriage. That's how Krishna builds, suspense, and they're trying to meet with so many obstacles in the middle. So it creates more rasa. But of course, that's spiritual world, and all their husbands are also expansions of Krishna only.
ultimately
I
it's
mean,
all a drama because Krishna has only expanded as all the then Radharani has expanded as the gopis. So it's kind of a drama thing going on. You can say like that also. But there is emotion, because everybody forgets. Like when you see a drama, you have to forget to be actually mm, like absorbed in the drama and derive entertainment. You have to forget
Yeah,
the reality.
that's Yogamaya. Yogamaya does that. Even Krishna forgets he is a supreme lord, becomes fearful of the stick of Mother Yashoda.
Then only, like in movie, right? You have to switch your mind off, and then you see Rajnikant or so at that time, Amitabh Bachchan beating up 10 people. You cannot argue logically. How is this possible? One man against 10 people, and he's single-handedly, and they are very strong also, and they show like that. If you turn on your logical mind, then you'll get up from the movie and go out. You cannot derive any entertainment. So you forget, and then you take pleasure. You clap, and people like so. So that's here in this material world. We have also forgotten, and there also they have forgotten Krishna's position. Otherwise, Yashoda can't really have that rasa with Krishna. If she remembers, oh, my son is God, then finished.
She would say, I don't need to cook butter for Krishna. He
Yeah.
is a supreme lord. I mean, he has
How come
everything.
God needs? How come God can become hungry? God is providing for everybody. How can he become hungry? So that, that's all. Finished. There is no more need of cooking.
One time I was discussing with my father the same thing, that how God, why you every time morning till night you offering food to Lord, why He is needing. Then he said that because He gave everything to us, then He doesn't have it. We have to give Him back something.
Yeah, he gave everything to us, so he doesn't have. But 1 minus 1 is equal to not
It's
0.
all about what bhav is there, because there's a true story. If you go to the Barsana, Vraj, so nobody praising Krishna there. If one time when Babaji was there and one person come to there and he said that Nandalal ki jai. And he got very upset. He said that you are here in Barsana, and my Kishori ji is here, and who is Krishna? If you want to praise Krishna, then go to the Nandagaon. You can't say Nandalal ki jai here, because Krishna, Nandalal is the sorry, Krishna is the servant of Radharani, my Kishori ji. And he said that that boy was saying that, okay, Babaji, it's both are same thing. Radha and Krishna are same thing. It's don't be upset. And everybody was trying to pacify him, but he was very rigid, and he said that no, you can't say that. Uh, this is my Kishori ji place, and this is Radha Rani's place. No can place Krishna here. So it's all about bhav, what how much you're attached with that. So
Yeah.
in Barsana, everything in Mathura and Barsana, if you saw that only Radha Rani is there. Okay? They said that we have a Radha Rani Sarkar.
But we
Yeah,
also
that's
know
true.
that. Go ahead, Mataji.
Also, and somewhere near Barsana, there is that place where Radharani and Shri Krishna got married. There's a temple there and a very old. They say it's
Bhandu Bhandu thing.
yeah, I think so. That yeah, Bhandi.
Brahma married them.
Yeah,
But we
Yeah.
also know that Radharani is pleased hearing Krishna's name, and Krishna is pleased hearing Radharani's name. So that's why Hare Krishna mantra has both. So we can please Krishna by serving, we can please Radharani by serving Krishna, because she loves Krishna more than herself.
Yeah. So, and yeah, there is no difference between Radha and Krishna also. So many things. Yeah. So if we logically examine, it's all like a play. It's all Krishna is expanded. Radharani is expanded as the gopis, and the gopas are expansions of Krishna only, right? Or who is the gopas? The gopis we say are the expansions of Radharani. Who are the gopas?
Yeah, I think Krishna only. Abhimanyu is an expansion of Krishna. So the other Gopas also.
So, like, we are also expansions of Krishna only. We are Vipinansha. But every one of us is unique in one sense because we all have our character and our personality. And
What about cowherd boys, Prabhuji? Are they the expansion of Krishna or
Krishna,
are they the
that's
pious
what.
sages?
Yeah. Some are like living entities. Of course, in gopis also we have Shruti Chari gopis and this different categories of gopis. So some are living entities who have become gopas. Some may be like living entities who have become. They are not Vishnu Tattva or Krishna Tattva. So, like those who are playing with Krishna, they have amassed heaps of pious activities or transcendental pious. So they may have gone to from somewhere. Some jiva has become now a gopa in the spiritual world. So it can be different also, different categories as we have in gopis. Okay, anyhow, so it's all very, I mean, logically we can't understand all these things completely. Radha and Krishna are one, then we still say that, yeah, but Krishna is servant of Radharani. Radha and Krishna are one, then he's servant of himself because they are one. Then how does this work? So if you analyze, start thinking in that direction, then it doesn't make sense. So, but yeah, we accept like that.
I mean, in love, there is no logic.
But he is loving himself because Radha and Krishna are non-different. So Radharani is Ladini Shakti of Krishna. So there is no two, but they have separated into two, but they are one. So it's Sachindya Veda Ved kind of thing. So like, and Krishna like, yeah, he's God. Why does he need food? Why is he crying? You can't understand that. He should be Atmaram, like all the Virodhabhas is there in Damodar Leela. He's crying, this, that. Then we say, oh, he's hankering for his mother's love. That's why. So God is also hankering. But everything has come from Krishna only, and he's Atmaram. So why would he hanker for? Then his Atmaram is not true. But in Vrindavan, yeah, his Atmaram and all this don't apply. So that's why Vrindavan Leela can be a little bewildering for those who worship God as the supreme, great personality, and from whom everything is coming, who is the provider of everything, who is maintainer of everything. Then this, you can't approach Raj Leela in that. So you have to forget that Krishna is God. That's why Vaikuntha Vasis, they cannot live in Raj because they are in Vaikuntha, they are in awe and reverence. So they can't live there. Although they are pure devotees also. So, the great sage Maitreya has given a considerable description of time of different dimensions, beginning from the atom up to the duration of the life of Brahma. Now he attempts to give some idea of the time of the unlimited personality of Godhead. He just gives a hint of his unlimited time by the standard of the life of Brahma. So sometimes Aishwarya, the knowledge of Krishna's Aishwarya, becomes an obstacle to understanding his Madhurya. That's why in Vrindavan we say it's pure Madhurya, it's pure sweetness. So although there is opulence, it's more opulent than Vaikuntha, but the sweetness is so much, it reigns supreme there that the greatness of Krishna is masked by the sweetness of Krishna. So, and Prabhupada gave the example that, yeah, you may be very important man in the material estimation, but for your family, you are like, just another family member. So they treat you like another family member. So there they treat Krishna as their child or friend. Yeah, he may be God, so what? He's my friend. That concept of friendship is more than knowing him as God. Even they deny, we heard that, how they deny that Krishna is God. When Krishna says, I did everything, they are denying. So it's very amazing. Now he attempts to give some idea of the time of the unlimited personality of Godhead. He just gives a hint of his unlimited time by the standard of the life of Brahma. The entire duration of the life of Brahma is calculated to be less than a second of the Lord's time. And it is explained in Brahma Samhita as follows. But other thing is that if we think of Krishna's, like we just artificially go into Rajabhav like that, without understanding Krishna's greatness, then also it's a problem. Then we may become Sahajya and other things like that. So that's why in Bhagavatam 10th canto, first 10 cantos are dedicated to kind of establishing Krishna's position, and then 10th canto goes into the Vraj Leela. Because it may become premature, right? If we just artificially pretend that we have like very spontaneous bhav when we are not free from material desires, and we just try to say like this some, and we are not like, that much devoted in our heart or and things like that, and then we just try to act as if we have raganuga bhakti, then also it's a problem. Like Prabhupada, when they started the Gopi Bhav Club, we want to be in Gopi Bhav, and like this, they were acting like. So then also it's when you are not at that level and you try to imitate, then it also becomes a problem. So first one has to become pure in heart, and then you can experience this. So the entire duration of the life of Brahma is calculated to be less than a second of the Lord's time, and it is explained in Brahma Samhita as follows. Yasyaika nishvasita kalamathavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanatha Vishnur mahan sahyayasya kala vishesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So one swas of the Lord results in the universe is yasyaika nishvasita swas you can kalam athavalambya. So it says kalam is time. Jivanti loma vilaja. Loma is the hair. Vilaja. Ja means born. Born from the hair holes. Grown from the hair holes. So Krishna, through his pores of his body, Mahavishnu, is breathing out universes. And Jagadandanatha, that is Brahma, the master of this universe. Brahma is also coming, and he remains alive as long as the duration of one exhalation of the latter, Mahavishnu. So it says, for one breath of Vishnu, Vishnur Mahan, that is Mahavishnu. Vishnur Mahan, it is backward, Mahavishnu. Vishnur Mahan Saiha Yasya Kala Vishesho. So Mahavishnu is Kala, is the portion of the portion. Plenary portion or expansion. Kala Vishesha. So we know Krishna, then Balram, and Balram expands into the first Chaturvyu expansion. Then comes the I worship Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, whose plenary portion is Mahavishnu. All the heads of the innumerable universes, the Brahmas, live only by taking shelter of the time occupied by one of his breaths. The impersonalists do not believe in the form of the Lord, and thus they would hardly believe in the Lord sleeping. Their idea is obtained by a poor fund of knowledge. They calculate everything in terms of man's capacity. They think that the existence of Supreme is just the opposite of active human existence. Because the human being has senses, the Supreme must be without sense perception. Because the human being has a form, the Supreme must be formless. And because the human being sleeps, the Supreme must not sleep. Srimad Bhagavatam, however, does not agree with such impersonalists. It is clearly stated herein that the Supreme Lord rests in Yoga Nidra as previously discussed. And because he sleeps, naturally he must breathe. And the Brahma Samhita confirms that within his breathing period, innumerable Brahmas take birth and die. There is complete agreement between Srimad Bhagavatam and the Brahma Samhita. Eternal time is never lost along with the life of Brahma. It continues, but it has no ability to control the Supreme Personality of Godhead because Lord is the controller of time. In the spiritual world, there is undoubtedly time, but it has no control over activities. Time is unlimited, and the spiritual world is also unlimited, and since everything there exists on the absolute plane. So in this material world, the influence of time is there, but not in spiritual world. Because Krishna controls time, and in the spiritual world, you are outside. Here everything, we will die, right? After 50 years, like that, nobody will be here, or maybe a little bit more. Everything will go away with time, but in spiritual world, no time. So, okay, so Krishna is the controller of time. That's why we say, yeah, he can give us time. If he wants us to live longer, he can prolong our life. He can control. He's the controller of time, controller of destiny, everything. Even controller of like. That's why the gopis, to reciprocate with the gopis, because he had a big debt to the gopis for the selfless service that they did. They came leaving everything behind. This is the highest surrender, right? They dropped everything to be with Krishna, their family, their everything. So they say this is the, yeah, so to reciprocate, Krishna says, I cannot reciprocate. So he expanded the night because he wanted to be with them for more number of, yeah, I want to read that. No, but I am.
I'm not able to repay my debt for your spotless service, even within a lifetime of Brahma. Your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation.
One devotee was saying, if you have a greater debt, then you have to take longer time to pay the debt. So Krishna, the debt of Krishna is so much in debt of the gopis. Of course, here he says he cannot repay the debt, but he's trying to pay back. So he expanded the night to one night of Brahma, so that he can have so much time to be with the gopis.
And every night he has Ras Leela.
Correct. Ashtakalya Leela, right? That's so I don't know. It's every night is Brahma's night. Maybe Krishna can do that, but then we may think Yashoda may be thinking, or somebody else may be thinking. Of course, Yashoda doesn't know that Krishna is born, but he comes back just in time. And Yashoda sees all the marks on Krishna's cheeks and all these things, and he's thinking, how has this come? Maybe because he
Plays with the boys.
boys.
The boys must have beaten him, or he must have fallen down on the thorns.
Okay, so we may think Krishna doesn't need rest. After doing whole day in the cowherd with cowherd voice, now night also is. So Krishna doesn't need rest. And then he sleeps also, then but it's all difficult to understand.
I mean, spiritual body, right? Doesn't get tired. There's no limitations like that on the spiritual body.
Yeah. So somebody may say, well, at one time you say he has a spiritual body, then how does he feel hungry? Because spiritual body means there should be no hunger and thirst and all these things. So it's like, if you analyze very deeply, then you say, well, this doesn't tally with this thing, then this doesn't tally with. So Krishna is just whatever he wants, he does. But he feigns hunger, right? He's not really hungry, but he's hungry for the love of his devotee. Something like
Or sometimes he forgets too, like we put him, the Yog Maya makes him forget that he is a supreme Lord.
that. But spiritual body means like, then sometimes he gets tired also. Then in the fields, then they are massaging his feet. Then he says, well, but he has a spiritual body. How can he get tired? So like that. So it's difficult to keep everything in sync with the logical.
Yeah, I mean, he does supernatural things all the time. He lifted Govardhan with his little finger. Nobody questioned how could Krishna do that. And of course, they were saying that you're not doing it. It's the Govardhan himself who's floating in the sky.
Because he worshipped him nicely.
So Krishna shows his magic every single day, but they neglect it.
Or Madhumangal says, I chanted mantras. That's what is that he'll up. So yeah, so they don't believe that Krishna is God also. Yeah. In the spiritual world, there is undoubtedly time, but there is no control over activities. Time is unlimited, and the spiritual world is also unlimited, since everything there exists on the absolute plane. Okay. So from here, we cannot conceive of that world. There is no because here everything is under the influence of time. And that's dimensions are different in the spiritual world. It's in a different dimension. So we can't perceive. We can only perceive 3 dimensions. Like who in the palace? Was Narad Muni or somebody in the palace of Dwarka or something? They could not describe because it was a different dimension. Something is there. Okay, so
that this previous verse was saying that Brahma's life is a second in reference to the Supreme Lord. Our life is also a blink of an eye in reference to Brahma.
not even blink. I think it's even. I mean Nimesh. I don't know. Yeah, it's considered like that. What you're saying is correct. It's like Brahma blinks and we are gone. Because if you say 100 years, how much is 100 years in Brahma's day? How many seconds pass? Or how even does it even 1 second equal to 100 years?
No, I mean we were seeing so many portion. It's a very small, tiny portion of a second.
Yeah, because Brahma lives 100 years. So if you calculate his lifespan, and then you divide it by our 100, so how much would that be for him? Or how much it would be in the our second?
But how he says that second of the Lord's time, but Lord doesn't have time. I mean, he's unlimited, or there is no time for Lord. So how is calculated as the Brahma's life?
No, in material world there is time, right? The duration of his calculated to be equal to 1 nimesh for the Supreme. Of course, there is Mahavishnu is breathing out and is breathing in. There is some time that elapses between that. So he is in the material, he is in the causal ocean. Is the causal ocean like the boundary between the material and spiritual worlds? So as soon as you come on this side, then time comes into play. If you go on that side, there is no time. So
Yeah, like you were saying that there's some flies that stay for a few hours only, right? And they do their whole life cycle. I mean, they're born, they mate, they have offsprings, and they become old, and they die in few hours. So from relative to us, we see that, oh, this is a very small time. This, but according to the fly, it lived its whole life. So Brahma is seeing that we are dying in an imish, like blink of an eye, we die. But we think that it's a long life.
yeah, and because we are like in the fly things, yeah, it's a long life for it. So it's relative to the body. But we should consider like this. Our life is so short, and we are trying to do so many adjustments in the short span of life. It's like somebody who is just living for 1 hour, and we are saying that person is trying to that 1 hour or maybe 1 minute. He's trying to say, I will do this, I will do that. Array, 1 minute you're going to die, and then you are saying, I will do this, I will do that. What does it matter in that 1 minute? So something.
Everything seems insignificant if we see the relativity of time.
Correct.
But
Yeah,
then it's also, we say that it's so valuable, this time that we have gotten in human body. Right? It's temporary and it's arthadam, it's very valuable. In that little time, we can make advancement and come out of the cycle.
yeah. But we don't feel like that because we think, yeah, it's so many years now. I'm going to live another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's a long time. But we have to think about all these things, that it is very short. Then we can make spiritual advancement. Then there is urgency. Oh, okay, life is coming to, what should I do now? I should do fast. I should change my consciousness fast. It's not like I have so many years and I will do slowly, gradually, and procrastinate. Okay, so like that we are supposed to think. I'm just saying that, yeah, we are all doing whatever we can, but ultimately, yeah, the consciousness has to change. Ultimately, everything is to change our consciousness so we can become Krishna conscious. Whatever we are doing is to change our consciousness.
Also, all the problems in life would also become insignificant.
Ah,
If
correct,
we know that, our time is like a second of Brahma's.
correct.
Why bother about these problems? Well, the main problem is birth, death, old age, and disease. Focus on those.
Yeah, it's going to end very soon. So, like you are on the train and your journey is like just 2 minutes, let's say. Like sometimes you take that train between the terminals, right? You go to major airport like Chicago, and they will take a train, and there are some seats and people are sitting, and you don't get a seat because it's crowded. You just hold the rail or something and stand. But in 2 minutes my stop is going to come. So even if I didn't get a seat, it's okay. I just stand. So something like that. So yeah, life is so short. They are sitting. Yeah, they have some comfort. But my stop is going to come in two minutes. Right? The train is going to, that shuttle, whatever you call that, is going to come. So like that, we have to think like, yeah, it's going to come so soon. So let me just focus on Krishna like that. Yeah, that all these things can actually make us more focused. Detachment can make us more focused. Uh, Otherwise, distraction takes away our focus.
Very nice
Distraction.
example you said with the train. Gives, to put things into perspective, when we're practicing tolerance, just for the moment, even though it may feel long, but should think in that manner, it's not permanent. Yeah.
Distraction means what? Alternate attraction, right?
Yes.
So when we are attracted to something other than Krishna, it's a distraction actually. It's alternate attraction. So that's like a distraction for the jiva. And then we become attracted to that thing, then we lose our focus on spiritual life. It's the same thing that Sanat Kumar says. When you think something else is more important in your life than self-realization, then you lose the focus. Because now the other thing has taken your attention. So now you're
Also,
looking.
Bhogeshwarya Prasaktananta
Correct.
Vyavasatmika Buddhi Samadhavana Vidya. You would not have Vyavasatmika Buddhi if you're attracted to Bhoga and Ashwarya and finding pleasure in sense gratification.
That's why one has to be detached. And yeah, you have to withdraw your consciousness. Like in the second chapter, Arjuna is asking Krishna, Ka Bhasha, what are his symptoms? What is his language? Means what are his symptoms? How does he sit? How does he walk? A man in transcendence. How does he sit means how does he, what is his
Not
mental,
engage with senses.
yeah, how does he not engage his senses? So then
That's like a
Krishna,
tortoise.
gives
Tortoise who draws his limbs inside the shell.
correct. So he gives the example of tortoise. That tortoise withdraws its limbs in the shell. And when it has to walk, then it brings its things out. So when it's necessary, then he engages. How does he sit? Means what is his mentality when his senses are not engaged with the, or how does he respond to, isn't that, how does he, what is his language? First is his
How
ka
does he
bhasha.
walk?
Huh?
He says, what is his language? How does he speak?
How does he speak? Yes. How does he sit and how does he walk? These are the questions. Yes. How does he speak means how does he respond to different situations in life? Like somebody is praising him, somebody is blaspheming him. What is his? How does he speak? How does he respond? And how does he sit? Means what is his mentality when he's not engaged with the sense objects? What is he thinking internally, right? How does he deal with sense objects, maybe? How does he sit? How does he walk? Yeah, when he's dealing with sense objects, then what is his? So, like that, different things he's asking. Then he gives the example of tortoise. So you have to withdraw the senses when it is not. When there is a chance for senses to be distracted, then you withdraw your senses and bring it in yourself. And because if you allow the senses to go, then it will get distracted. So you have to withdraw your senses means shut your eyes and your ears and everything. Means like, yeah, you have to be blind to those temptations. You have to remove yourself from that situation also. It can mean like that also. Then only there'll be, like we said, prevention is better than cure. So
Yeah, I mean, also we say that, right? We can't tell a child to not engage in anything. So if he's engaged in something, he will not be engaged in wrong things. So engage your senses in Krishna conscious activities always. So the tortoise is always busy with his senses engaged in Krishna conscious.
yeah, the jnani thing is to like just bring the senses and do nothing. But bhakta is like, yeah, you withdraw your senses. In one verse, Krishna says, not just withdraw, but fix your consciousness upon me. Then he is known as a man of steady intelligence. First, he says, yeah, one should give up all desires of mental concoction. Prajayati yada kaman, sarva partha manogatan. But then he says, yeah,
तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्ता सतमत्परा वशे यस्य इन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me is a man of steady intelligence.
okay, so Bhagavad Gita has everything. Okay, so at the same time, we have to restrain the senses, and then after restraining, then focus them on Krishna, devotional service. So that's how we can control. Or otherwise, the senses can victimize us. Yes, yesterday we were talking, right? The moth is victimized by the sense of sight, the fish is victimized by the sense of taste, the elephant by the sense of touch, the deer by the sense of the ear hearing.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the bee by the sense of smell.
Yeah, so like that. So that's what we say, right? This prayer before prasadam. Jadendriya tahe kal. Our senses are leading us to death. If they're not controlled, then they consume us basically. So to keep them under control, we were reading Nectar of Instruction yesterday. Prabhupada says the first duty of the spiritual life is to control the mind and the senses, without which nobody can make any spiritual advancement. And control means you have to now engage in Krishna's service. So we have to lock our senses in Krishna's service. So there is no vacancy. Like in the airline, when you go to the bathroom and they say occupied. So you cannot, so now it's occupied. The senses are occupied. So now they don't have, it's locked. The bathroom is locked. You cannot go inside. So senses are locked with the Krishna's service. So it doesn't have any room to go anywhere. Okay, so that's why chanting Hare Krishna. Yeah.
So these prasadam prayers, they also say that tongue is the most voracious. So sometimes we say mind is a master of all senses. Sometimes we say it's the tongue. What is it?
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, mind controls the senses, right? In the hierarchy of the chariot, the horses and the rings. Mind is controlling the senses.
yeah, ultimately it's the mind, because tongue is uncontrolled, means who is enjoying? The tongue is not really enjoying in one sense. The mind, everything is, the pleasure and the pains are felt by the mind. So the mind makes up like, okay, now I'm eating, and that depends on the modes of nature you're affected by, your mind is affected by. So let's say if I am vegetarian and they give me chicken to eat or beef, then I will say, my mind says, no, I eat. But the same tongue in the person whose mind is affected by the mode of ignorance and passion, he finds that same food very interesting, very palatable. Well, the tongue is the same. Like if you examine, it is made of cells or whatever it is made up of. Every human tongue is the same. But so tongue itself cannot enjoy, but it is the mind, like based on the modes of nature it's influenced by, it finds something very palatable and something very repulsive. So the mind is, like we say, mind is the cause of happiness and mind is the cause of suffering. That's Avanti Brahmana said, right? It is the mind. So the mind is perceiving that enjoyment. So,
but I guess the mind can also be controlled first by controlling the tongue. Like this verse, Atha Shri Krishna Namadina Bhavit. Brahmin Sevan Mukhe Jiva.
yeah.
So
Correct.
If we control the tongue by chanting Hare Krishna and eating only prasad, then mind will be easily controlled, and so are the other senses as well, tongue, belly, and genitals.
Correct.
Same line.
Yeah. So tongue is occupied then. Even the mind says, I want to enjoy, but you say, no, the tongue is occupied. Like, what can you do? Can't speak anything else. You can't sing the Bollywood song because now the tongue is occupied with chanting Hare Krishna. You want to sing the Bollywood song, but you can't. His tongue is occupied. The mind is saying, no, but I want to. The tongue says, no, I'm occupied. Of course, the tongue itself is not. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, if the senses are occupied, then even the mind wants to enjoy. There is no way to enjoy because they are not free to enjoy. So, like that. That's also there. Okay, it's 8:52. I think we can stop here for today. And let me bookmark this. And another way to look at it is that the mind says no, like today is Ekadashi, and in your mind you made the determination. Today I will not eat anything. Mind is already determined. The tongue may be hankering, oh, I want to eat, I want to eat. But you already, mind is saying no, you can't eat. So the tongue, even it fits hankering. Oh, I want to eat this, I want to eat that. Then you say, no, I have made up my mind. So in that way, the tongue is not allowed to.
And also there is like, after restriction from the sense enjoyment, but taste for sense of object remains. And but when we experience some higher taste, as you said that our tongue is engaging in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, so we get some higher experience, higher taste than the lower taste. Like so, yeah, Vishay Vinivartante Niraharasya Dehinam Rasavarjam Rasopiyasya Param Dristva Nivartate. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, sometimes we say, yeah, I don't want to eat this and that, but in our mind we have the taste. So, like that. So, yeah, so at least that's why it becomes tapasya in the beginning. Because it's the taste is there, but I am restraining myself from the taste. That is not favorable for bhakti. I'm restraining myself. But then when you get higher taste, then it's no longer tapasya because it becomes very, you get higher taste, so lower taste is not there. Yeah. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much for joining today, sharing your thoughts and reflections.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.